Well, what's going on, guys? Evan the Dark Souls enthusiast here, bringing you another Dark Souls gameplay commentary in the Xbox 360. In this commentary, we're going to continue the Elly series of videos, which is approaching its end. This time, we're going to have to go through the Demon Ruins. Lost Islet will be in the next installment of the video series because it would have been too long to combine the two, unless we wanted to do another 2-hour Blighttown Fest. Unfortunately, once I get a hold of the Lord Vessel, the game starts like double-edged sword. I really like the Lord Vessel, of course. Being able to warp is just way convenient, and it'd be hard to leave home without it. But unfortunately, once I get the Lord Vessel, a lot of the areas I have to trek through, I just don't really like going through. Like Tomb of the Giants, I don't really enjoy the darkness element they put into it. If it wasn't dark, I probably would have liked it a lot more. Of course, I failed to light that bonfire there. Just wasn't thinking when I came through here. I think I've done many characters on Dark Souls, most of which were deleted for being bad builds or being too gimmicky and not worth using, and as a result, I winded up, playing through a lot of areas a lot of times, and sometimes I can't remember exactly what each character has done. But in any case, I love this game to death, but there's just a lot of areas that I'd rather not go through, while there's others I don't mind going through. Like, I don't particularly like going through the Tomb of the Giants. I don't particularly like going through Lost Islet. I like the Demon Ruins, though, to separate a distinction between the two. I don't really like the Duke's Archives very much. And I would like Crystal Cave if it weren't for the invisible walkways, which are stupid. I don't like Blighttown very much because it's Blighttown and it's framey and it's just miserable, so that's always a big roadblock for me. So, when I play Dark Souls, when I hit these particular levels or points in the game, I just really slow down because I don't particularly want to play through them. And this really delays my character progression. Like, I go in PvP at low levels, or I go in, I don't know, I just do other things. And as a result, I just wind up, not progressing with my characters. Like, for most PvP characters, you should never really stop to level in terms of efficiency, because very few characters will be able to PvP at their maximum level on one playthrough. Especially if you're Intelligence or Faith, you probably want multiple stacks of your best spells. Like, you want 2 to 3 stacks of Crystal Soul Missile, 2 to 3 stacks of Crystal Soul Spear. You want, multiple stacks of, in Faith, you want multiple stack of Wrath of Gods, even if the community will hate you for it. You want to have access to that. You want to have multiple copies of Sunlight Blade, so unfortunately, you just wind up in situations where you have to play through the game 3 times sometimes to get your character about where you want them. And that's my problem when I make PvP characters, is I never want to play through New Game Plus and New Game Plus Plus. I don't really struggle with New Game Plus. I find New Game Plus and Plus Plus to be easier than the original New Game because you're geared, you have access to everything you need to exploit any boss's weakness. Even bosses that become exceptionally hard in New Game Plus, you have the items you need to bring them down. And some of those bosses, I actually will be doing some New Game Plus videos for bosses. Certain bosses have weaknesses you wouldn't expect, and I'll elaborate those in the videos, because in New Game Plus some people struggle. Normally that's a result of your character wasn't really made correctly in New Game, so New Game Plus you're just at a really bad position. Or you're trying to do a PvP character, so you're level locked at 120, 125, and you can't keep growing stronger with your enemies. Stuff like that. And there are ways to get around that, of course, other than summoning phantoms. A big way for me is, of course, exploit the boss's weakness, like if they're weak to lightning, use a lightning weapon, etc., Monster Hunter style. But a big part of that is knowing, of course, the boss's weakness, and knowing the bosses that aren't weak to an element, but to an effect. Like, certain bosses take hella damage from bleed, so that's always, sort of a surprising ways, like Life Hunt Scythe build and stuff like that. Another thing is, PvP characters sometimes wind up being very specialized. Like, Dex and Strength hybrid characters can pretty much do anything they want, but if you're a Faith caster, for example, like Elly is, you're pretty much locked into using Faith weaponry and elemental crap, and the way you did your stats probably isn't the easiest for getting through the campaign, like the single player, the PvE stuff. The easiest PvE character builds in my experience have just been Strength Gouge characters, Strength and Vitality Gouge. Either of those, Vitality Gouge, Elemental Weapon, great for the single player. Strength Gouge, great for the heavy weapons you get. Heavy weapons are fantastic against bosses and stuff. But the game's not so hard that you can't get through it with anybody. I felt like Demon's Souls was a much harder game. It took me a while to realize that. I had to play through this game numerous times before I realized that Demon's Souls was definitely more challenging. The bosses were harder. The bosses in Dark Souls, while they'll get you, they're not really hard. Like, a good example of this is Capra Demon. He's not a hard boss at all early in the game, but I die to him routinely just due to the environment and the attack dogs and just like the fear factor, because I know I have no vitality at that point. I die to Gaping Dragon on occasion just because I walk into like his tail and it just instant kills me and I don't even know what happened. I died to Ornstein and Smoke because they're probably a boss fight that's on par in difficulty with Demon's Souls bosses. I've died to Gwen when I'm not trying to. Well, I've died to all the bosses, but I die to Gwen somewhat relatively frequently when I don't parry. I mean, if you parry Gwen, he's super easy because it's almost like an exploit how easy it is to parry his attacks. Priscilla is easy. Like, most of the bosses in the game are just really easy, and they can be down on your first try. Demon Firesage surprisingly kills me from time to time just because he hits so hard, and his AI is so much better from, you know, Asylum Demon and Stray Demon in that he backsteps a lot. He backsteps, and he has just a wider arc of movements and stuff like that. I think it's sort of unfortunate they recycle the same boss 3 times in different areas of the game, and that, of course, being the Asylum Demon. It just seems inappropriate to recycle the same boss over and over. Maybe that's just me, but I feel like they really could have done more by having a larger variety of bosses in this game. Or like an area where I could fight bosses again. You know, I often find myself wanting to do the Ornstein and Smoke fight again just for fun and to test builds out and stuff like that, but I really can't unless I play all the way to Anor Londo over and over, so that's just kind of sad. Like, of course, one method is to take your boss like 2 hits from death and then Homeward Bone out or Homeward Miracle out and stuff like that, but you need to kill Ornstein and Smoke to get forward with the game, so it pretty much locks you at that point in the game for certain bosses, and it's really too bad. Oh, excuse me, I had to take a drink of Pepsi there. I'm trying to give up Pop, interest in my health, and because some of my family members are giving it up, and I kind of want to jump on that bandwagon and be a team player, and I just kind of want to get away from it. But it's hard. I like Pop, and I'm out of bottled water right now, and tap water, I don't know if it's psychological, but tap water just has a different taste to me. So, I don't know. These guys right here, these giant worms, they bother, not those guys. The statue has the breathe fire easy. They have a really linear attack where they just try to shoot fire on you, so if you move to their side or to their back, they can't do anything. But these worm things, I find them really, like, to be a large inconvenience to me. Of course, you'll see there, I'm going to grab the soul over here before I light the bonfire. And it's not letting me light the bonfire because I'm being invaded, and I'm just kind of like, huh? Yeah. Like I said, I get invaded here from time to time. This is a cool spot to launch invasions, like I said in one of my other commentaries. Because the boss of this area, the Centipede, is optional, you can wind up getting, you know, a lot of PvP action here, which is, it's not, you know, it's not a bad thing per se. I like PvP action, but getting into PvP fights that you're not really like planning for, that can kind of suck. Of course, right now I'm doing my taunt for you guys, so I'm trying to show my displeasure in the fact that I've been, you know, someone's invading me, but they're not actually invading. That happens a lot where you'll get like failed invasions, like invasions launched and they just fail. At least they happen to me a lot. I don't know if it's because my internet sucks or because that's just how the game works. For anybody out there who has that problem where you get a marked invasion and you get basically invasion failed, let me know how that works for you. Maybe that's more of a problem specific to me. And of course, Windows just did an update, so I have to click on my postpone update box so I don't drop my commentary midway through. I'm not like a really Macintosh guy, I don't hate them, but I've never been like a Mac fan. But to be fair, like, the stuff that Windows does just drives me nuts. There's the Wrath of Gods to make every enemy easy, the spell that... I've noticed something, anytime I use Wrath of Gods in any of my commentaries, I always get a dislike. I don't know if it's one person who's doing it, or if the spell's just that unpopular. It doesn't bother me either way. I actually think it's pretty cool. You know, getting feedback in any way is a great idea. You know, that's... When people rate my videos, I appreciate it. I don't mind downrating. I mean, If you don't like the content, let me know. The fact that you took the time to watch it is a compliment to me. Of course, those little worm guys, they're completely stationary, so if you stay outside their range, you're good to go and you're safe. But we've got a good bit of time left in this commentary, and there's not a whole lot else in the Demon Ruins, and these aren't boss strategy videos, so during the Demon Firesage boss fight, I'll actually probably mute my mic along with the Centipede boss fight. So I should elaborate on what's going to happen in the Centipede boss fight sort of in advance. I died to him once, and you know, all my deaths are edited out, but the big thing is simply that I wanted to keep Broterra alive. I've never kept Broterra alive for the Centipede boss fight, and Elly managed to do so, which I was pretty excited about. So it's just sort of a personal challenge to keep Broterra alive through all the boss fighs. And because I wanted Sunlight Metals to level up, and Covenant to get Sunlight Spear, which generally wasn't worth having, but was pretty sweet. Of course, if you get right in this guy's crotch, he basically can't hit you, as lame as that is. So you'll see me fight, and if you cut off the Centipede Demon's tail, you'll get the Charred Ring, which lets you run through lava, which you need to progress through the game, of course. So, and of course, here's the Ember up ahead here, and it's easy just to run past these guys rather than fight through them. This is the large Flame Ember, of course. I don't really use the flame weapons too much because the chaos weapons do a little more damage if you're comfortable carrying humanity, which I am, but still, they're fine. And I'll try and rat these guys before I finally realize it's not worth my time. You don't get a whole lot of experience for downing these guys. Oh, I guess I did go ahead and kill those two, but then there's two more, and they're actually facing the correct way, and it's kind of like, I've used all my lightning spears, so I think I'm just going to make the informed faith decision and just homeward out. That's just how it works. But as I was saying, I'm going to cut off the tail and get the Charred Ring, equip it, then go back into the fight and roll with them again, and once I have the Charred Ring equipped, that way I can move through the lava. Broterra can move through lava without taking a lot of damage, which I think is pretty sweet. So that's pretty much what happens there, and that's why I homeward out in the middle of the fight, just so I can move in on the boss and keep aggressive. Like, if you can't traverse the lava, it can actually be really hard to keep Broterra alive, due to the fact, like, to keep Broterra alive in most boss fights, it's all about pulling aggro off him, and you can't really do that if you're confined to the lava. That and Solitaire, or Broterra as I prefer, won't actually start blocking, like doing anything intelligent until the enemy's like close enough to him for him to take action. And Demon Centipede has that long-range punch it does over and over as part of the fight. So Broterra is not smart enough to hold his block button, or to raise his shield rather, until you move up. And that was a pretty bad run on that Taurus Demon. But that's pretty much why I do what I do with Broterra. Oops, sorry guys, I should have edited this little bit out. But I didn't, so we'll just go ahead and keep it since I've already got commentary over it. That's sort of my thing. Once there's commentary over it, I just run with it. Otherwise, when you try to put out a significant number of commentaries, unless you want this to be like a full-time job, you just have to accept that you're an imperfect person doing an imperfect commentary. At least that's what I do. I know some people like to edit for a long period of time. I probably only spend like 15 minutes on editing, the rest is just spent on deciding on topics I want to do and things like that. But yeah, once I get the Charred Ring, then I can save Broterra. This video is more of, honestly, is more of like an exercise. I mean, I'm happy to commentate, and I don't mean that, I'm not downgrading my own commentary. I would never put out work that I think is bad. That would be stupid. But I'm just saying that I don't think this area is particularly exciting to watch me battle through. But I wanted to go ahead and include it, just for the sake of having it included. Because I already cut out some other areas that I just refused to commentate. Like, I refused to commentate the Duke's Archives. For whatever reason, I got violently lost, and I just didn't want to, like, make you guys sit there and watch me wander around. There's no way to edit it where it looked appropriate. For some reason, I'm, like, legit having issues with this Taurus Demon. I shouldn't. This is a really easy enemy, but here I am. When I played through with my strength character, everything was so much easier, due to the fact, really, I could simply, like, everything I had, like, every hit from my big weapons, like Black Knight Sword, Black Knight Great Axe, all those weapons hit staggered all my enemies, so it just wasn't like a big deal anymore. I'd hit them twice, they'd be staggered, then after 2 more hits, they'd be dead, so it became a lot like PvP in that regard. once you hit stagger somebody, they usually never come out alive if you have a big weapon. That's why poise is such a big deal. I've gotten good feedback on my videos where I sort of elaborate on effective character builds and effective armor builds, so I'm thinking I'm actually just going to do a video where I show like working armor combinations to get poise breakpoints with different looks, different appearances, stuff like that. I think that would be popular. And of course the cookie cutter is always an option. Giants plus Burger King mask plus Ring of Favor and Protection. If you don't know what that is, you'll see it in my future videos, but that's really common. It's really good. Don't get me wrong, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And of course down here is the quote-unquote secret entrance to Lost Izalith. To open that door you have to be ranked within the Chaos Covenant. But I'm going to go quiet for this boss fight here. Alright guys, I'll see you in a minute. Alright guys, I'm back. And of course that's the end of the Demon Firesage. It's a pretty sloppy run of the Demon Firesage. I don't like it when my boss fights turn into a slugfest where I just pop as many Estes as I can and see if I can grind it out. Of course up ahead is the Demon Centipede where I'll go quiet once again for the boss fight. And as a result, the commentary is about to come to an end. Sort of a shorter commentary series because a lot of the time was spent in the boss fights, but I'm glad I went ahead and manned up and commentated the Demon Ruins, and I'll eventually commentate Lost Izalith. If you guys are still watching, let me know if you think you'd like to see like another Let's Play with like a different character, or if you just like to see more PvP content. I'm pretty much down with anything for Dark Souls within reason, so just let me know what you'd like to see from the world of Dark Souls, and I'll try to respond. To all my comments. It just takes me some time, and I'll see what we come up with. Of course, there's Brotear, and I will obviously be doing a Brotear run here, so looking forward to it. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.